Good morning, Year 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. The theme of this week's assembly is Black History Month and how we plan to celebrate this year and in the future. As you may or may not be aware, there has been a tradition for Black History Month to focus on aspects of Black history such as slavery, racism, oppression, the British Empire, Martin Luther King, civil rights in the USA, Nelson Mandela and so on. Whilst all these subjects are very important and we must understand how they fit into global social and political history, there is time within our lessons and our curriculum to study these topics. There is also an abundance of information in books and on the internet for you to study these aspects of history independently. Black History Month 2020's motto is to dig deeper, look closer and to think bigger. All three of these parts will be evident during this assembly. As part of Black History Month 2020, the past week, this week and next week, you will have hopefully been shown a series of significant individuals from our African and Caribbean communities and how they have helped shape the country we all live in today. In this assembly, I want to raise awareness of a few forgotten significant figures from history to highlight an alternative to a negative focus of the past. Digging deeper. Recently, there has been a movement by historians to focus on the forgotten or overlooked aspect of Black British history. Particularly when it comes to Black British history, evidence of people of African descent have been connected to British history for nearly 2,000 years. Although numbers may not have been huge, the impact of these communities have been proportionately significant. Roots of Black British history start as far back as the Roman times. The remains of two women have been found in the 20th century and have been further studied over the past 20 years. These two women, the Ivory Bangle Lady and the Beachy Head Woman, are without names due to lack of written records. But thanks to modern investigative techniques and items found alongside the remains, we are able to tell that these women were living in Romano, Britain as members of wealthy families who may have had significant influence in their communities. Evidence of wealth has been particularly associated with the Ivory Bangle Lady found in York. As the name suggests, she had evidence of expensive and valuable jewellery which originated from the areas of Africa unknown to the majority of Brittonic people at the time. This find suggests that she held influence within the Roman society of York and the surrounding areas. We also know more information about a garrison of African Romano soldiers based on Hadrian's Wall for a significant period of time. As well as documented evidence of Northern African generals of the Roman army, previous history on African influence on the Roman army suggested that people were forced to serve in the Roman army, but this was not always the case. Generals respected the skills and ability of their enemies. Roman generals often using the techniques of conquered armies to improve the strategies of their own. What the research does tell us is that both North African and Sub-Saharan African people lived, worked and developed communities a long time before many people are aware of, and are certainly not linked to a form of slave trade. Recent research by historians has looked closer at the contributions of Black Tudors. Traditional history suggested that Black people in Tudor Britain were a direct link to the beginning of the slave trade. But current revisionist history now concludes that despite the number of Black people in Britain being between 300 and 500, their influence was wide-reaching. Miranda Kaufman, a specialist in Tudor history, has written a book called Black Tudors, The Untold Story, which focuses on the success and significant role of people of African descent on Tudor society. Three figures we have chosen to focus on are Jacques Francis, Diego, and John Blanc. All three men reached prominent roles within Tudor society, all personally known, respected, and influential in their own particular fields or professions. Jacques Francis, as we can see in the left picture here, was personally employed by Henry VIII as a skilled swimmer and diver to inspect the wreckages of ships around the coast of Britain, particularly the ill-fated Mary Rose, Henry's prized naval ship which sank in 1545 during the wars of France. Jacques Francis is also significant as the first person of African descent to give evidence in an English court of law. Second is Diego, an explorer who was chosen by Sir Francis Drake to assist him in circumnavigating the globe. History has remembered Drake but duly forgotten Diego. Diego successfully raided Spanish galleons, defeated pirates, and created treaties between the English Navy and local Africans who had escaped the rule of the Spanish. Diego had a successful career in seafaring and naval battles and was posthumously commemorated by Sir Francis Drake in a speech given to Elizabeth I. And finally, John Blanc, a Tudor trumpeter. John Blanc arrived in England in the royal court of Catherine of Aragon and remained a royal favourite of the Tudors well into the reign of Henry VIII. As a professional musician, John was on the accounts of Henry VII and Henry VIII. There is further evidence of direct conversation between Henry VIII and John Blanc when it came to payment negotiations. John successfully negotiated a pay rise for himself based on his musical abilities, which put him in the top third of the highest paid performers in the court of Henry VIII. Henry VIII even sent John a gift of purple clothing for his wedding, a sign of huge respect because purple was considered a colour traditionally only worn by royals and of those of high-ranking nobility. If we look at specific pieces of art at the time, we can see examples of representative diversity in Tudor England. Some would say that having only a few examples of different cultures may be tokenistic, but when people of African descent made up 0.01% of the general population, the fact that these people were shown by artists displaying the skills of which they were paid well for is a celebration to the diversity of the time. As we think bigger, we must look at celebrating contributions by Black Britons throughout the year, rather than just leaving it till October. We of course will always celebrate Black History during Black History Month, but we will be making an obvious and conscious effort to celebrate throughout the year. Once COVID restrictions are over, we aim to invite guests and speakers in to celebrate diversity, to reintroduce days of diverse culture via cultural and traditional dress and food events, and any other ways we can in order to learn about and celebrate diversity at Bishop Young. Thank you for listening to this assembly, and I hope this has raised awareness and helped celebrate the significant contributions from our Black community throughout British history. If you have any ideas of how you want to celebrate Black History Month in future years at Bishop Young Academy, please come and find me or any member of the History Department or the Wellbeing Department, and we'll be sure to voice your opinions and celebrate in the way that you want to in the future. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.